Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's about learning. We should have the basic Mikdash immediately. Yeah, see what we're holding. We're going to do Daf test, but it starts on Daf Chesamid base, the last three words. It says, Amar Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar says, sounds like it's Rabbi Elazar ben Tadat, the Amira of Eretz Yisrael. Just adjust the light here. It says, Ha'imer Pesach Besoch Matzasi. If someone marries a virgin girl and then he says that he doesn't feel like she was really a virgin, so he makes a claim against her that no one can really argue with. It's totally his word, and it's subjective. Now, how do we know? How do we know two things? How do we know that he's honest? And how do we know that he knows what he's talking about? So the Gemara says, or Rebbe Elazar says, Neman la Yisrael. His claim is enough that she becomes forbidden to him. Now, why does she become forbidden to him? Because if she is an adulteress, so then he's not allowed to stay with her. So Neman la Yisrael is, the way Rashi puts it, is Shavya aleh chaticha de Yisura. He can make her as if she's prohibited. That's enough. His claim, now, whether he's right or not, he's claiming that this, and therefore it becomes forbidden to him. She becomes forbidden to him because of the claim. The Gemara says, 1 second. V'amai, svek sveko. It's a double doubt, it's a compound doubt. Why? Safek tachtav, safek ein tachtav. First of all, when she's not a virgin, let's say according to him, but when did she lose the virginity? Either it was after the betrothal or it was before the betrothal. If it's after the betrothal, then that's a problem. But it could be that it was before the betrothal. And then she was a single girl. She doesn't become an adulteress if she had relations before and she's a single girl. She's not a virgin that she claimed to be, but she's not forbidden to him. So one second, you're jumping. And even if you're going to say that it was, and even if you're going to say that it was after the betrothal, and she is an adulteress and she's forbidden to him, but safek baina safek pratan, how do you know if it was rape or if it was willingly? If it was willingly, then she's still permitted. If it was rape, then she's still permissible to her husband. It's only if she committed the act willingly that she would be prohibited. Okay, so a svek sveka should be permissible. So Mepharshim discuss why is the svek sveka permissible. So according to the Rambam, it's easy because the Rambam holds that a biblical prohibition is only considered a prohibition if it's 100% clear that it's prohibited. Anytime there's a doubt, and it takes its way down to a rabbinic prohibition. The rabbis only forbade things that are definitely forbidden. Anything that's doubtful was not forbidden. So now that it's a rabbinic prohibition, so now what's the rule with the doubt on a rabbinic prohibition? Safek Rabbanan is the kula. So that's the reason why a svek sveka would be mutter according to the Rambam. And according to the other opinions, then you have to view it as a doubt makes it like 50%. You know, according to the other opinions, a safek deraisa is l'chumra midiraisa. So according to them, the Rashba, whatever. So according to them, you have to make it that the doubt is not an equal doubt. So it becomes like the doubt makes it 50%. The next doubt makes it only 25% that it's prohibited. And then that's how they view it. Okay. So we have two answers over here. Two answers why it's not a svek sveka. Either because he's a kayan. So even if it was by force, so she's still going to be, even if she was raped, she's still prohibited, which means that it's only one doubt. One doubt was did this happen after the betrothal or was it before the betrothal? but willingly or rape, that's not a question.
We're trusting him, but we're not trusting her.
No. We're trusting him only because it's relevant to him. Right, she's clearly denying it.
She's clearly denying it.
Yeah. Another answer is Viba Yisema, another teretz is Beishis Yisrael kind of kibel ba'avua kedushin pchusim mibas gimel shana v'yamechad. We're talking about that it's the nation Yisrael. He's a regular Israelite. He's not a Kohen. So why is he believed to make her forbidden? The answer is because he married her when she was a young girl under 3 years old. Now, how does he marry her? What he does is he gives the wedding money to her father, the betrothal money to her father, and her father married her off to him. Now, they don't live together till later, but there is no doubt when the other relations took place. It couldn't have been before his marriage, because before his marriage she was under 3. And the rule is that under 3 it would have grown back. So it must be that it was after he was already betrothed to her. After he was betrothed, then we only have one doubt: was it by rape or was it willingly? Yeah.
Earlier, recently, didn't we have a discussion about, I forget the exact phrase, but it ended in 8 seem?
Yeah, mukasetz. Is that what you wanted to ask? That maybe it came out because she was hit by something or an accident. Yeah.
So wouldn't that be a third
Yeah.
suffix?
Yeah. Why the Gemara is not bringing that in? I think the Mefarshim say because that's not common.
Mhm.
If she would claim that, that would be a valid claim. But the Gemara is not claiming it as, the Gemara is not putting it as a doubt.
But the thing is, she should be believed to say I was raped because she could have said something else.
Oh yeah, very good. Very good. Who mentions that? Someone mentions that. She believed she should be believed because she has a migud that she could have said mukasetz, that she was in. It's very, very good. You went to yeshiva, of course. Yeah.
For a few days.
Very good. Yeah, you went to that. Okay. The Gemara now says, "My kamash malan tanina." It's a very interesting Gemara how it sets this up. What the process here goes like this: someone makes a statement. Here, in this case, Rabbi Elazar made a statement. The Gemara challenges the statement. Is it really accurate? It's a huge chiddush. So we lessen the chiddush. We say it's not such a big chiddush. We're not dealing with the Yisrael. We're dealing with the Kayan. We lessen the chiddush. And then once we lessen the chiddush, because we challenged the first one, we challenged it in its original form, so we lessen it. Now we say, well, then why do you have to tell that to me? It's obvious. Yeah. So my kamashmal and tanina, if that's what you're holding, so that I have in the Mishnah. If someone tells a woman, kidashticha, I married you, in front of witnesses, of course. Where the witnesses, they disappeared. But here, you never married me. It's quite a claim. So himuteres bekreva, she is allowed to marry his brother and his father and his son and all his close relatives, because she says, I'm not related to you at all. However, but he's prohibited in her relatives. What are we seeing? We're seeing that that he can make on himself a prohibition. He can make someone prohibited to him by making a claim. So whether the claim is that she is an adulteress because it was Pesach Pasuach, he didn't feel that it was closed, that she was a virgin, or whether the claim is that he's married to her. Those are claims that he's making. That would make him prohibited to her relatives, right? Or to her, the other one. Gemara says, make him like kimlay. There's one factor that's slightly different between these two cases. When he tells the woman that I'm married to you because I gave you money, I'm betrothed to you, Says, I gave you money in front of witnesses. You don't remember? We had this whole thing. I said, Hariyat Mekudeshes. You don't remember that? Says, I don't know what you're talking about. He is 100% certain, and we trust him that what he said was accurate. We trust him that he knows what he's saying. She's just denying it. So it's him against her. So for her, nothing's prohibited. And for him, it's all the relatives are prohibited. Over here, when he says,
He has to bring the proof. He has to bring the proof. Right? He has to bring the proof that he did.
well, it depends for what. It depends for what. He doesn't need to bring any proof to make her relatives prohibited to him.
Right.
But if she would claim, oh yeah, if I'm married to you, okay, so give me the ksuba. Yeah.
Right. I was saying, in our case, in Gemara, he's making a claim to free himself. And in this case, he's making a claim to obligate himself.
Right. That's interesting. But what the Gemara does, the way the Gemara takes it is that the chiddush that we have, that Rabbi Lazar has over the Mishnah, is that we could say that in the case of Rabbi Lazar, where he says that she's not a virgin, we could say that he doesn't really know if she's a virgin or not. When it came to the Kedushin, what's his claim that she's not a virgin? He said, well, it didn't feel like it was a virgin. He said, well, maybe he doesn't know what he doesn't know what he's a bachelor. He's a bachelor. Yeah, we're gonna have another Gemara over here. And tomorrow's Gemara, not tomorrow, well, we'll learn on Sunday, but tomorrow's Gemara, there's a fellow that came to Rav Nachman, I think. Yeah. It says she wasn't a virgin. So Rav Nachman gave him lashes. Yeah. Is that, how do you know? How do you know? Must be hanging out in the wrong circles. So, okay.
I always had the question as far as like a psula. What if like she like opened it up herself?
Right.
Is there anything regarding like what?
Right. Right. If
what
she
the
would
din
claim
is for
that, then she would be. The Gemara calls it a mukaseitz.
Oh.
That means she was like, hit by wood. That means they're basically the same point, that she didn't live with someone. Yeah. The commentaries here discuss it, in the Gemara and other
Because
places
it could be
discuss it,
mistaken as
that
not
she
being
wasn't a
someone.
virgin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the difference is if Kimle, if we say that he knows what he's talking about, by the Kedushin, when he gave her the money, he definitely knows what he's talking about. But over here, by the Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, we don't know if he knows what he's talking about. And nevertheless, Rabbi Lazar says that we believe him to make her asur. Yeah. And does Rabbi Lazar really say that we trust him and she becomes prohibited? Rabbi Lazar says, we have an original statement here, but the Gemara is gonna amend this statement. It says that a woman is not prohibited to her husband unless there was a warning, like in Masechta Saita, that he warned her, do not be secluded with so-and-so. And then there were witnesses that saw them secluded. It has to be similar to the case of Ma'aser Shahaya, the case of Bathsheba and David.
If a woman committed adultery, she's not asked to she had it in
Ah.
her.
Gemara says, for Tizbara, do you really think that Ma'aser Shahaya Bakina V'stiraya? The Gemara, the statement included, it has to be similar to the case of Ma'aser Shahaya, the story that happened. Gemara doesn't tell us the story, maybe to cover up on David and Bathsheba, but it's referring to David and Bathsheba.
David was warned in this case with Bathsheba.
So 1 second,
Right,
it wasn't warned at all. There was no warning, of course. So the Gemara asks, really? That over there was warning? You're comparing it to David, and you're saying that by David there was warned, that he warned? Who warned? Uriah warned Bathsheba or something? Uriah was the husband of Bathsheba. Is that really what happened over there? Va'id miyasruha. Did Bathsheba become prohibited to David? We're saying that she would only be prohibited. The way it works is like this, that if she becomes prohibited to her husband, then she becomes prohibited to the person that lived with her as well. Kshemsha asura lebal, kach asura lebayal. Right? If there's a prohibition on her husband, then there would be prohibition on David, and David wouldn't have been allowed to marry her afterwards. Gemara says Halei Kasha.
So how does this affect the ksuba? If he can't live and she can't live, I mean, at some point the lady
What's going
has
to
to live.
happen is, right, on the next page, we're going to have a statement from Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel that's going to bring it out how it works with the ksuba. First, it's whether they agree or don't agree, the two opinions. Let's say that everyone agrees with what's going to say on the next page. Here they're just talking about with the prohibition. I'm sorry. It's a machlekes if they agree or not. So the Gemara says, "Hachi kamar." This is what it means. Ein ha'isha neseres al baila ela aliske kine vestira mi meiser shahaya delay havi bikine vestira v'lay yitzra. The meiser shahaya, the story of David and Bathsheba, did not have a warning beforehand. Bathsheba was not warned not to be with David. So when does a woman become prohibited to her husband? Only if there was a warning. The husband had warned her, and then she violates the warning and she's secluded. Not like the story of Bathsheba and David, where over there she was permitted to her husband. Gemara says, Mikol makom kasha, kine v'stirein, pesach pesuach loy. So now we have a problem, because she's becoming prohibited to her husband here simply because the husband is claiming that he finds that she's not a virgin. Pesach Pesuach, the opening was open. So, but Rabbi Elazar says that she's only prohibited to her husband if he would have warned her beforehand. What do you mean warn her beforehand? He just first relations, and there was no warning, and she's prohibited already. The Gemara says, if you're going to take that statement of Rabbi Elazar that there needs to be a warning and then a seclusion, so Tini v'stiri in Edom loy. This is your question.
So there was seclusion while she was married?
Yeah, well, she's betrothed. At the time of the first relations, he claims right afterwards that he finds that she wasn't really a virgin. So the problem is that there was no warning, and Rabbi Elazar says there needs to be a warning. So the Gemara says, does there really need to be a warning? What about witnesses? Oh wow, what about witnesses? That's what I would have worn my other kapata. What about witnesses? Witnesses has got to be good enough to make her forbidden, right? That she committed adultery. We trust witnesses. Elahachi kamara. This is what it means. If you're going to use just one witness, then that would only be after a warning. But really you need two witnesses to say that she committed adultery. If you don't have two witnesses, if you don't have two witnesses, then if it comes after a warning, the husband warned her, do not be secluded with this man. And then we find that she is secluded with this man. And then we have witnesses that say that one witness that says that they committed the act as well, then we trust it, because you have all of that evidence beforehand that he suspected her, and then they were secluded, and then you have a witness that even one witness that would be believed. And now when he claims that he finds that she was not a virgin, that's as if there's two witnesses. So we had a contradiction in Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar says that if he says that he finds that she's not a virgin because the opening was open, he's believed. Then we have another statement from Rabbi Elazar that she only becomes prohibited to him if there was warning and seclusion. So how do we reconcile the two? So we say that if you don't have two witnesses, then there needs to be warning and seclusion. But if there's warning and seclusion, then one witness is enough. And if he claims that he finds the opening open, the Pesach Pesuach, that she's not a virgin, that's as if there's two witnesses. Okay.
The witness attesting to what?
So when there's kinui and stira, the witnesses are attesting that she was secluded.
So it
And
is a seclusion.
one witness then can come and tell us that they committed that, which will trust one witness afterwards. Yeah,
After the
seclusion.
seclusion.
You don't need two
Witness seclusion.
after the witness. Yeah.
If it's witness, how is it seclusion?
You look at this Rashi. I feel a beidachat.
He's running around looking for this.
This Rashi, I feel a beidachat on the bottom, discusses that
I always
that
thought
one
there,
witness in this case would be believed.
I thought there wasn't seclusion until Bathsheba's husband pretty much passed away.
Oh no, he lived well. The story goes is that her husband was still alive and he lived with her, but then he gets sent out to the battlefront and he dies
So they were both together while
he was alive.
he was alive in
Yeah.
battle.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, you'll see. We'll get some details here, and then it's a Gemara and Kedushin as well. Why was Bathsheba allowed to live with David? She committed adultery. And the rule is that she becomes prohibited to her husband. And if she becomes prohibited to her husband, then she should be prohibited to the adulterer, right? That's the rule. She becomes prohibited to both.
Oh yeah.
It's a very general question the Gemara is asking you. What happened in that story? The Gemara says, "Hasamaynas hava."
Gave her a get, no?
1 second. Now you're jumping. That's the Gemara is going to say in a minute. Aynas hava. David had raped her. Now it comes out from this a huge chiddush. Huge chiddush. What happens if David rapes Bathsheba? She's permitted to Uriah because she did not do this willingly. But how should she be permitted to David? Because David did it willingly. The answer is that the prohibition to the adulterer, to the Bayal, is only an extension of the prohibition to the husband. And since there was no, we say just like she's prohibited to the husband, she's prohibited to the adulterer. But if there's no prohibition on the husband, then there's no prohibition on the adulterer. It comes out like a strange logic that she should be, that it would have been, if she would have done it willingly, then she would be prohibited to the adulterer. But because she was raped, the rapist knew what he was doing. In this case, where this the answering, to make her prohibited, he had to, when he asked her, he said, say no. Or else there's going to be problems. Say no. Right? No consent. We don't want consent. Okay. Another teretz. And this is what you were mentioning. Kihad Amar Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Rab Yonasan, like Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani says, name of Yonasan. That's a very common phrase. It's usually for Agarata. Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani in the name of Rab Yonasan. It says, Kol hayotzel l'milchamas beis David. All the soldiers that went into battle for the house of David get krisus kaisav lishte. They would have to write a get to their wife. Now, how exactly did this get work? It's a big discussion. If the get was on a tanai, that if they don't return, then the get takes effect. Or
Does it take effect retroactively?
Yeah.
for the time of, or
so
was
they
it
would
the
have
time
to
of
say
the-
that it takes effect retroactively for our purposes, because we need to have
Otherwise,
David to become permitted. Or I think Rabbeinu Tam says that there was a real get without a tanai. If you notice in Tosfos, Rabbeinu Tam
it's a straight
Mefarish.
out get.
It's a straight out get, and then they would get remarried. How would it work with a kohen? I don't know. But
Well, not going.
yeah, it wasn't a kohen. It was a chiti. Okay. The ksiv esachicha tafkid l'shalom. How do they translate that? Your brother, you should visit in peace. V'saravasam tikach, and take their guarantor. And what does that mean? To take the guarantor. My v'saravasam tikach. Tani Rabbi Yosef Dvarim hamuravim beinay lebeina. It doesn't mean a guarantor. It means what's combining him and her. Ma'urav is joining together. So what that would mean was you take away that marriage. How do you do that? By giving a get. So this actually wasn't by David. This was said by Shaul, by his soldiers. But David would have done the way it was done previously by Shaul. Amar Abaya Fanan Nami Tanina. Is this the second time Abaya sang this? No. Before we said my Kamashmal and Tanina. Yeah. What happens is in the Gemara, there's two statements that are almost the same thing but very different. Sometimes the Gemara says, "What's he telling me? My Kamashmal Tanina. I know that already. He's tell me something new. He's not telling me anything." And then sometimes the Gemara says, "Afanan Nami Tanina." He's saying very good. I even have a brisa that says that, or a Mishnah that says that. He's saying good. So it's like it's saying the same thing. Why is he accepting it? The answer is that one's a question, one's saying like the happy about it.
Is it real?
Yeah, the tone. But why is that an issue? Because if it was something that we understood, obviously, then the Gemara says, "My kamashmalan Tanina." But if it was something that was only implied from the Mishnah, and someone came along and said, "If you read the Mishnah carefully, you're going to come out with this," then and it's going to be a proof. Then we say it as a proof. So it depends how it's being put. Abaya says, "Afanan nami Tanina," that will accept the claim of Pesach Pasuach, that if the husband says that she wasn't a virgin, and we're going to claim that he knows what he's talking about, we'll trust him that he knows what he's talking about. We have this in the Mishnah. Why? Because the Mishnah says, that a virgin is married on a Wednesday. Where did we say, what did we say? That on a Wednesday, not a Thursday. On a Wednesday and not a Thursday. My timer. Why on a Wednesday and not a Thursday? Because because if she gets married on a Thursday, maybe his mind will calm down. And what we're concerned about is like this, that maybe he's going to realize that she wasn't a virgin. And then the following morning, he'll run to Besdin. On a Thursday morning, he'll run to Besdin because the Besdin is open on Thursday. It's not open on Friday. It's not open on Shabbos. It's not open on Sunday. He's going to have to wait till Monday if he gets married on a Thursday, right? So we're concerned that by the time the Besdin gets open, he's going to have calmed down. Okay, now what is our concern?
That's what we want, no?
Well, ulamai, what is the concern? If he's going to give her a ksuba anyway, he's going to keep her as a wife and give her a ksuba. And really, she doesn't deserve the ksuba because she committed adultery before and she wasn't a virgin. So nesivla, what do we care if he gives her some extra money? Nesivla, it's a gift. She can't claim it maybe, but he decides to give it to her. That's not a reason to make a takana that he should get married at a time to make sure that she doesn't get the money that he wants to give her. Elallah Israel must mean that we have a different concern. We have a halachic concern, not a monetary concern. The concern is that maybe she's really forbidden to him. And he marries her. She's not a virgin. She committed adultery. He's not allowed to live with her. But we have a concern that maybe he's going to say, well, she cooks a good breakfast. He's going to stay with her and he's really not allowed to.
But this is after the fact of them being together.
They were together once. And he claims that she's not a virgin, but he
So-
didn't say that in court yet. And we have a concern.
But
That-
if she was asura for him, they already committed the sin of
Right,
being with the asura.
right. But it doesn't make it permitted
It
afterwards.
doesn't make it permitted afterwards, but it didn't prevent.
Right. But he didn't know that. He lived with her without, right, this Peshkaga. Right. Udakatan Taina. Obviously, he has a claim. And we're saying he has a claim and she's really forbidden to him. So my love, is it not the Katan Taina Pesach Pasuach? He says that the opening was open, that she wasn't a virgin. See? From the Mishnah, it's clear that we're going to trust his claim. It's exactly what Rebbe Lazar said. Rebbe Lazar has a support from the Mishnah. The Gemara says, Loi, the Katan Tainas Damim. You see, there's a difference over here. There's two possible claims he could make. One is that he felt that she was open, that she wasn't a virgin. Other claim that he said is that there was no blood. Now, one is subjective and one is objective. So the question was, Rabbi Lazar's telling us that we trust him with the subjective claim. He felt that she wasn't closed, that she wasn't a virgin. Now,
But was there blood or not?
oh, so from the Mishnah, was there blood in this case? Rashi at the beginning mentions that what about the blood? I mean, there's 2 points here. And so, no, so 1 second. So Rashi said, I should have mentioned this before. Rashi says that she comes from a family that's called Durkati, that they do not have blood. They do not they don't bleed. Yeah. Another possibility, we're going to learn about the Durtaki on the next stuff. Another possibility is that they lost the cloth. The maid came in and did the laundry without them. So there's no proof of the blood. But if he has the cloth and he says that there's no blood on it, see, he takes the sheets. He says there's no blood. So then that's not a subjective claim, and that's what the Mishnah is talking about. When he's going to go to Beis Din on the next day, he's in anger. On the Thursday morning, he's going to go to Beis Din. Over there, he has a real claim. That's not a support for Rabbi Lazar, who just claims that Pesach Pasuach. Okay. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel. Pesach Pasuach Matzasi Neman Lafsida Kesubasa. See Rav Moshe. Someone says Pesach Pasuach, that he finds that she's not a virgin. He's trusted that she doesn't get a ksuba if they get divorced, which that's what they're going to have to do. She's going to come to him and say, give me the ksuba. He's going to say, prove it that you're a virgin. You're trying to get money from me. I claim that you're not a virgin. So he's trusted that she should lose the ksuba. Now, how much of the ksuba does he want it to lose? Everything or just the extra 100? I don't know. I'm not sure if what this Gemara means is that it's a mekach tois and she doesn't get anything, or if it means that she doesn't get the full. I'm not sure. The notes have to talk about this. It's an obvious question. Okay. Whenever anything's obvious, it's a machlekes. It's a safe assumption, unless it's clearly in the Gemara differently. So, whatever the case is, he's believed. Oh well, okay. Have a good Shabbos. He's believed that you should lose the ksuba. Amar Rav Yosef, my kamash melantanina. What are you coming to tell me? Here we have this again. What are you coming to tell me, Rav Yehuda, in the name of Shmuel? We have a Mishnah that says this. Tell me something new. This what you're saying is already obvious. What does the Mishnah say? If someone eats at his father-in-law's house, at his in-law's house, he's only betrothed to his wife. He's not married yet. He eats by his in-law's house, and there's no witnesses there. If they were secluded or not, we don't have anyone to tell us that. You can't then at the wedding, at the Nisuin, then say that she's not a virgin, because he was already secluded with her, and we don't know exactly what took place, and so therefore he can't make a claim later on. Now, Elamaisa, he could say that they didn't do anything. I guess we don't trust him 100%. We think maybe they did something he doesn't know, whatever. There's possibility that they were together. Now the Gemara says like this: the Yehuda time. You can't make that claim in Yehuda, because in Yehuda, remember we said that the husband, the bride and groom would be secluded, and they would actually have relations. It was common for them to have relations before the marriage. He gave a reason for that. or maybe it was just promiscuous. But Habigalil, Matzitarn. But in Galilee, then he can make that claim. Ulamai. What is the claim about? Ila Israelav. If he's saying that she's prohibited to him, he has a halachic claim that really this wife is an adulteress and he should not be allowed to live with her. Yehuda Mailai. If he makes he's 100% certain, says, I did not live with this woman at all, and she is not a virgin, then we have a problem. Even in Yehuda, he should not be allowed to live with her. So it must be that the claim is not a halachic claim, it must be a monetary claim. If we're going to make a distinction between Yehuda and Galil, it's going to have to be the monetary claim. And he's making a claim. What is this claim in Galil? And that he's going to believe in Galil and Yehuda not. My love, the Katan Tainas Pesach Pasuach. His claim is that he found that it was open. See? That subjective claim that he claims that she wasn't a virgin is enough to make her lose the basula. Exactly what Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel. We have a support for this. It's worse than a support. We have a statement that says that so clearly that we don't need Rabbi Yehuda or Shmuel to even say it. Gemara says, "Loi, that's not the case." The Katan Tainas Damin over there, he wasn't making a subjective claim. His claim was that there was no blood, and no blood is not a subjective claim. And over there, we would trust him that she could lose the ksuba, and by that there was no blood. But a subjective claim that he found that it was open, then maybe not. Okay, I guess we can go further. Let's see. Itmar. We'll go a little further, so we'll be a little ahead. It was stated by Amoraim. It's usually a machlekes, but Itmar, it's a compound word. Is Amar. It has been stated. Isa means it's been, or it is. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel. Rav Nachman says the name of Shmuel. Rav Nachman was a student of Rav and a student of Shmuel. We have him quoting both. Mishum Reb Shimon ben Elazar. In the name of Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Reb Shimon ben Elazar is a student of Reb Meir, so it's going back a few generations there. Chachamim tiknelem levleis Yisrael lebesula masayim el almana mana. The sages instituted that a virgin girl, if a marriage to a basula, when it ends, if the marriage ends, she collects 200 zuz, masayim. And for a widow, if you married a widow, then she collects just a mana, which is 100. Yeah. Because this is an institution of the rabbis, that's how we started this. Chachamim tiknu, the sages instituted, so therefore they also trusted him. Shemamar Pesach Pesach Matzasi Neman. That if he's going to say that he found that she was open, that she wasn't a virgin, that he's believed. Gemara says you're leaving this open to every person making the same claim. They're gonna imkain ma'il chacham b'takanasam. So then, if there's such an easy way out that he can just make a subjective claim and he doesn't need to corroborate it in any way. So then, what good is such a takana? There's nothing there's no backing to that. So Marava Chazak. I'm sorry.
Could you repeat the logic that you just explained?
Yeah. If the sages instituted that there's a basula gets masayim,
right?
So whenever he wants, he can always say that she wasn't a basula,
right?
So then, what was the benefit to instituting that she's a basula if he can make a subjective claim, just his own word, and it's even on his own word, it's subjective, that he felt that she wasn't a basula,
right?
How is that going to play out? How is the takana going to play out that she's going to collect 200 if he can always wiggle his way out of this? So the Gemara says that's not a real problem because a regular person is not going to make that claim. He just made a whole wedding. He's not going to just throw the whole wedding feast away, right? This was a big deal. Okay, so that's not a real concern.
Well, didn't the Kala and her family pay for the whole thing, or was it the?
And nowadays the Kala pays, but in those days the Chassan paid. Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody
Why did it?
pays.
Nowadays everyone pays. Yeah. Remember base twice.
Looking like
Uh,
a tooth falling off.
Yes, yes.
I'm not sure why it switched. I'm not sure why it switched. Why the minute came. The chassan officially was supposed to pay for the chazan and the for the flowers and like the
Flower, liquor, orchestra,
Photography.
pictures. Yeah.
Now people don't have a choice. Usually people make a decision between the you say you want to do flat, you want to split. Because you really have the option to do it that way.
By nature,
It says recent as 4 years.
They
by
have to
nature,
do-
if it's a minhag, then it's not set in stone, so it could change.
Right. If you ever go to the weddings in Muncie or Lakewood where they have like with the guidelines,
Mhm.
it's incredible. Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah. Isn't it like incredible? Yeah.
I'm marrying my kid off.
They put a bowl of soup on the table. Everyone with a ladle, and there's a bacher that comes over, puts it down. Yeah. Amar Rava. So Chazakin and Terbusud of the Tana was taught in a brayso. Hayil the knas chachamim who like tikvelim in ziburis. Yeah, this is an interesting point. Because it's a knas. Knas sounds like because he's not supposed to be divorcing her, but he is divorcing her. So for some reason, it's she can only collect it. It's not like a real claim. It's not a real debt. So therefore, if it's a real debt, then she should be able to claim from higher level property possessions. But because it's not a real debt, so she can only claim from ziburis, which is inferior quality property.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question then. If you say that because if she wants to claim the ksuba, so it's a mitzvah chaverim, but isn't it the opposite? Now that she's married, now that the money is owed to her, so take.
What's the REO?
Sorry,
What's the you have?
3F.
That's what you want me to switch?
Yeah, sure. If that's the case, how wouldn't it be a mitzvah chavero alavaraya from the husband to the wife?
Follow.
Because the money's hers. So now he's trying now not to pay it. So if he wants to now get the money out from her, it's a mitzvah chavero from her.
That's a very good question. Yeah, you have to get a trophy for that. But I have to go through the Taisvis, Ilamesav Leksuba. It looks like Taisvis is discussing that about where the money is actually. If it would be a loan, and she's claiming the money to collect from a loan, then we would say that, what do you mean? That's her money. Even though he could say, no, I paid you, and then it would still be, if he claims I paid you, it would be Hametz Mechaver Levaraya, no? Well,
I don't know when he gives it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I hear what you're asking.
It's not guaranteed that he'll pay it. Do what you could die.
Right.
He doesn't have an obligation to pay.
No, he's saying who's the mitzi here.
Yeah, but
Oh.
I'm saying he doesn't have an obligation to pay until he decides to exercise that right.
Oh.
It's just an obligation. It's a pending open obligation if he were to exercise this right.
Right.
So is it really owed?
Yeah. Yosef is saying that the obligation only comes once he decides to end the marriage.
Yeah, but it's a commitment that's established and signed on the day she got married. It's
Since
not
that,
like
if you're going to say that he's considered that he's the mitzi from her, that's
Right.
Okay. Let me finish this piece. It says, knasa, my knasa. What are you talking about? That it's a knas? Ela ema, it's not a knas. Ela rather say Because it's just a takanas chachamim, so that's why I guess that it was included in the takanas chachamim that it's only from that he only takes from ziburis. That she claims only from the inferior quality. Okay, let's leave for Reb Shimon ben Gamliel because that's the whole sugya. Okay. Yeah.
What's the plan for Monday,
Thank you.
Sunday?
Thank you very